Let me tell you something about 2025. It is not a year of distraction. It is not a year to scatter your energy trying to fix what you did not break, impress who doesn't value you, or chase things that do not grow you. 2025 is a year of alignment, a year of cutting away excess, a year where your only assignment is to focus on you. You don't need anyone's permission to become disciplined. You don't need anyone's validation to build your dream. You don't need applause to evolve. This year you must silence the noise, shut out the crowd, and make peace with solitude. Because everything you're looking for, the clarity, the power, the strategy, the peace, is already in you. But you won't hear it until you get quiet, until you focus. We've been taught to focus on outcomes, on followers, on opinions, on competition, on comparison. But that's the fastest road to burnout, bitterness, and confusion. This year, reverse the lens. Focus on your thoughts, your discipline, your vision, your habits, your inner life, because your outer world is a reflection of your internal order. If you don't fix you, nothing out there will change. Do not get distracted by other people's pace. Some people are moving fast because they're running from themselves. Don't let speed deceive you. Some people are loud because silence would expose their lack of depth. Don't confuse noise with substance. You, however, must be different. Quiet yourself, ground yourself, know yourself, and become unshakable. That's the only way to walk through this year with purpose. Let me give you 6 principles for mastering this mindset. Everything in your life flows from the soil you're planted in. Your environment is not just about the people around you. It's about the voices you tolerate, the energies you permit, the distractions you excuse, the habits you ignore, and the standards you refuse to raise. You will never rise higher than the atmosphere you consistently expose yourself to. What grows in your life is a direct result of what you allow to remain around you. In 2025, protecting your environment must be your spiritual responsibility. Not a suggestion, not a favor to yourself, a necessity, a law. Look at nature. Even the most powerful seed will fail if the soil is toxic. It doesn't matter how much potential is in that seed. It doesn't matter what kind of fruit it could bear. If the environment is wrong, the seed dies unrealized. That is what happens to people every single year. They carry purpose, they carry vision, they carry calling. But they are surrounded by chaos, comparison, jealousy, laziness, emotional instability, noise, and distraction. And so they wither not because they were weak, but because they refused to leave what was weakening them. And in 2025, you cannot afford to be loyal to dysfunction. It is not cruel to protect your peace. It is not rude to say no. It is not selfish to choose solitude. Some people will misunderstand you. Some will accuse you. Some will guilt-trip you. But understand this. Your assignment cannot grow in a climate of constant compromise. Every time you allow someone's brokenness to dictate your boundaries, you delay your own healing. Every time you stay where you don't belong, you shrink to fit their comfort instead of rising into your calling. You are not obligated to keep explaining your growth to those committed to staying the same. Your elevation requires disconnection. You must begin to audit your life without apology. Ask yourself, who feeds my peace? Who drains my energy? What habits keep me anchored to yesterday? What routines rob me of clarity? What conversations leave me empty, scattered, and doubting myself? These are not small questions. These are keys to your becoming. You must understand this truth. Your future cannot be built in a room filled with people who benefit from your confusion. There are those who prefer the version of you that was always available, always tired, always uncertain, always proving, always broken. Why? Because that version posed no threat to their comfort. But when you rise, when you become focused, when you become clear and disciplined, you expose everything they've been ignoring in themselves. And that makes them uncomfortable. Don't shrink to maintain peace. Don't break yourself to protect what's familiar. This is the year to choose growth over guilt. Your atmosphere shapes your mind. You become what you sit in. This is why some people can never think clearly. They live in noise. They allow confusion to speak louder than conviction. They're tuned in to everything but their own spirit. They're available to everyone but themselves. You must learn to protect the gates, what enters your mind, your heart, your schedule, your energy. If it does not build, it must go. If it does not align, release it, not with bitterness, but with wisdom. You're not rejecting people. You're choosing your future. There is a difference. Some environments look good on the outside, but are corrupt on the inside. Be careful of places that celebrate your presence, but do not honor your purpose. Be cautious of circles that applaud your weakness, but mock your discipline. Some people only love the version of you that keeps them comfortable. The moment you start to change, their tone changes. That's not loyalty, it's control. And this year, you must break free from anything and anyone that confuses love with control. You don't need their permission. You don't need their applause. You don't need their blessing to move forward. You already have everything you need inside of you, but you'll never hear it if you don't silence what's around you. There are places where you will never be able to grow, no matter how hard you try, because you were never meant to be there. You are not a tree. You are allowed to move. You are allowed to leave rooms where you are no longer respected. You are allowed to outgrow relationships, jobs, conversations, and lifestyles that no longer serve the vision God has placed in your spirit. And when you do that, when you have the courage to step away from what is draining you, you make room for what is meant to build you. Don't keep watering dead soil out of sentiment. Don't keep returning to what you had to heal from just because it's familiar. Familiarity is not peace. Comfort is not growth. Nostalgia is not purpose. You must now choose spaces that challenge you to grow, people who call you higher, habits that prepare you for the life you said you want. Don't say you want peace but live in chaos. Don't say you want purpose but spend your time with people who have none. Don't say you want clarity but feed your mind with confusion. Your life follows your focus, and your focus is shaped by your environment. So in 2025, ask yourself every day, what am I allowing into my space? Because whatever enters your atmosphere begins to shape your reality. Your job is not just to dream big. Your job is to protect the space where that dream is being nurtured. Everything depends on it. Your peace, your focus, your next level. Protect your environment, and you protect your purpose. Motivation is loud, but it is unreliable. It is emotional, fleeting, and circumstantial. It rises with excitement and crashes with inconvenience. You cannot build a lasting life on moments of hype. You cannot depend on feelings to carry the weight of your future. What you need in 2025 is not more motivation. What you need is discipline, quiet, consistent, invisible discipline, the kind that shows up whether you feel like it or not. The kind that does not ask for attention, the kind that nobody sees but everybody eventually notices. Motivation will get you started, but only discipline will get you finished. We live in a world addicted to stimulation. People chase energy, they wait for the right mood, the perfect time, the fresh start. But purpose doesn't wait for feelings to align. Purpose is forged in fire, and fire does not ask for comfort. You cannot wait until you feel inspired to take your life seriously. You cannot keep negotiating with procrastination. The future you want does not respond to wishful thinking. It responds to daily obedience. It responds to self-control. It responds to how serious you are about your own transformation when no one is watching. That's where the real work is. Some people will spend the entire year chasing motivation, the way addicts chase a high. They'll keep watching reels, listening to speeches, taking notes. Yet they will never execute. Why? Because they are waiting to feel like it. But growth is not emotional. Growth is a decision repeated in private until it becomes a standard. The difference between the person who changes and the one who stays the same is never talent. It is commitment. It is structure. It is doing the small, mundane, unsexy work when every part of you wants to quit. Discipline is boring, it is repetitive, but it is sacred because it builds the life you actually want instead of the one you just talk about. If you want to transform, you must train yourself to show up. That means doing it tired, doing it unsure, doing it without applause, doing it even when it doesn't look like it's working, Because it's not about what you feel, it's about what you're building. Every time you choose discipline, you cast a vote for the future you said you wanted. Every time you do the hard thing when no one's watching, you declare to the universe that you are serious, not desperate, not emotional. Serious, and serious people don't just dream, they execute. Discipline is not something you're born with, it is something you build. It is a spiritual muscle. The more you train it, the stronger it becomes. But every time you break a promise to yourself, you lose trust in your own word. Every time you say, I'll start tomorrow, when you know you should start today, you train your body to ignore your voice. That is why so many people stay stuck. They have lost respect for their own decisions. They talk big, but their actions have no weight. You must fix that. You must become the kind of person that your mind obeys, your body respects, and your habits support. You will not always be motivated, but you can always be disciplined, and this is good news, because it means your future is not at the mercy of how you feel, it's at the mercy of how you train. Discipline gives you freedom. It frees you from regret. It frees you from weakness. It frees you from the trap of inconsistency. When you live by discipline, you stop living by emotion. You no longer need to feel inspired. You just need to remember your assignment. Purpose replaces the mood, and when you lock into that rhythm, the results will come. Not overnight, but inevitably. This year, you don't need more energy. You need more structure. Set your time. Keep your word. Guard your routines. Honor your mornings. Remove the noise. Sharpen your mind. Train your body. Discipline is what keeps you in alignment when distractions are screaming. Discipline is what keeps you grounded when everyone else is chasing trends. Discipline makes you dangerous because it gives you focus, and focus is the rarest form of power in a world obsessed with chaos. You will have to choose. Will you be a slave to comfort or a student of consistency? Will you keep feeding your emotions, or will you finally lead them? Every day is a vote. Every excuse is a step backward. Every disciplined choice is a brick in your foundation. Your future is not waiting for a miracle. It is waiting for your maturity. If you are tired of repeating the same cycles, do not ask for more motivation. Ask yourself, am I willing to become disciplined? That is where everything begins to shift. In 2025, there will be people who are still waiting to feel ready. They will talk. They will plan, they will hype themselves up, and then disappear at the first sign of discomfort, but not you. You will be the one who shows up. You will be the one who builds when it's hard. You will be the one whose habits speak louder than your emotions. You will not chase moods. You will create momentum, and that momentum will not come from fire. It will come from faithfulness, from showing up, from following through, from choosing discipline over drama, over delay, over distraction. And that choice, repeated daily, will make you unstoppable. One of the greatest prisons you will ever live in is the fear of what people think. It is an invisible chain, a quiet trap that looks harmless on the surface, but kills silently underneath. It looks like compliments, but it smells like control. It sounds like applause, but it echoes insecurity. In 2025, if you are going to rise, you must be delivered from the addiction of needing to be understood. You must stop seeking validation for what you were born to do, because the people you are waiting on to confirm you didn't call you, don't carry your vision and aren't responsible for your future. They don't see what you see, and they're not supposed to. You are not here to be approved. You are here to be aligned with the assignment placed in you before you ever had a name, before your failures and before your successes. The voice of God does not come through a poll. Purpose is not democratic. Destiny is not something that gets voted on. It is revealed, and once it is revealed, you are not supposed to run it by people who have never been where you are going. Stop explaining your convictions to casual listeners. Stop handing out permission slips for your own transformation. If you wait for everybody to agree, you'll die in delay. There will always be people who don't get it, people who don't see it, people who minimize it, people who reduce you to what they remember about you. That's their problem, not yours. You are not obligated to stay small so others feel comfortable. You are not required to play slow so others don't feel left behind. You are not responsible for how they respond to your evolution. You owe no apology for growing. You owe no explanation for protecting what's sacred. You owe no permission slip to walk in truth. If you don't stop seeking validation, you'll keep editing yourself to fit in places you were never meant to belong. This world has taught you to perform, to be likable, to adjust, to shrink, to polish, to hide the real you in exchange for claps and likes and superficial approval. But let me tell you this, what they approve is not even the real you. What they celebrate is the version of you that hides the truth, avoids the mission, and denies the call. And deep down you know it. That's why you feel the tension, because something in your spirit is tired of hiding, tired of shrinking, tired of performing. You were never called to impress. You were called to impact. There is a price to authenticity. When you stop seeking validation, you will lose some people. You will be misunderstood. You will be gossiped about. You will be questioned, misquoted, and judged. But do not panic. This is not a sign of failure. This is a sign that you're finally becoming real. Realness always disrupts comfort. Truth always offends delusion. You cannot awaken and still keep everyone comfortable. You cannot grow and still make everyone like you. You must choose between applause and alignment. One makes you popular, the other makes you powerful. Every time you deny your truth to gain someone else's approval, you give them power over your identity. Every time you silence your voice to fit into their world, you betray your own assignment, and betrayal doesn't start with other people. It starts with the moment you stop trusting yourself. You must take your power back. Stop waiting for someone else to see your worth. See it yourself. Stop waiting to be chosen. Choose yourself. Stop waiting for permission to begin. Begin now. You were already validated when you were created. You were already approved when you were designed. Everything after that is extra, and often unnecessary. The problem with external validation is that it's never stable. It shifts with moods, trends, and convenience. The same people who cheer for you today might doubt you tomorrow. The same people who praise you in public may question you in private. And if you build your worth on their words, you will always live at the mercy of their opinions. This year, break that cycle. Learn to live from the inside out. Let your identity be rooted in truth, not applause. Let your peace come from alignment, not attention. Let your voice rise from within, not from the echo of others. There is a difference between being known and being whole. You can be liked and still be lost. You can be followed and still be empty. You can be praised and still be broken. So stop chasing visibility. Start chasing purpose. Stop waiting to be seen. Start seeing yourself. The person who is truly free does not perform. They show up. They speak the truth. They walk in purpose even when nobody claps, even when nobody agrees. They know who they are, and that is enough. This year you are not running to be accepted. You are not working to be liked. You are not creating to be popular. You are becoming who you were always meant to be. And that becoming does not require permission. It requires obedience. Obedience to the voice in you that says, go. Obedience to the fire in you that says, build. Obedience to the vision in you that says, now. Stop seeking validation. You were never meant to live under someone else's approval rating. You are not a brand. You are not a performance. You are a purpose. Walk in it boldly, whether they get it or not. You will never transform while trying to stay accessible to everyone. Transformation is not a group project. It is not a social activity. It is not something you share with the crowd. It is something that demands your absence. Real change begins when you leave what is familiar, even when it's comfortable, even when it's loved, even when it's celebrated. There is a version of you that cannot emerge while you are still trying to be everything to everyone. You must step away, not because you're better, not because you're bitter, but because you are becoming, and becoming always demands isolation. Look at nature. Nothing grows in the spotlight. Roots develop underground in darkness, in silence. Caterpillars don't become butterflies in front of an audience. They cocoon, they hide, they disappear from view so they can be restructured from the inside out. That is not punishment, it is design. If nature understands that privacy is part of transformation, why do you fear solitude? Why do you keep trying to change while remaining visible, reachable, and constantly distracted? You're trying to grow and be seen at the same time. That is not transformation, that is performance. You must stop seeing isolation as abandonment. You are not being punished, you are being processed. Separation is not rejection, it is preparation. When God is ready to take you to a new dimension, He doesn't send more people. He removes noise, He narrows your focus. He silences the background. Why? Because clarity requires quiet. You can't hear your real assignment when you're surrounded by opinions. You can't obey your inner voice when you're constantly tuned in to everyone else's. In this season, God is not asking you to be available. He's asking you to be aligned. Some people won't understand your silence. They'll call it distance. They'll call it arrogance. They'll say you've changed. And they'll be right. You are changing, you are evolving, and evolution does not come with group access. There are people who are meant for your past, not your future. That doesn't mean you hate them. It means you've outgrown that chapter. You can love someone and still leave the space where your soul was shrinking. You don't need permission to grow. You need courage to separate. This is the season where you disappear to reappear stronger. You pull back to come back deeper. You isolate to get intimate with your own truth. Because when you're around too many voices, you start losing your own. You start adapting, adjusting, performing. You start wearing masks. And nothing delays transformation like pretending you're already complete. You can't heal what you're still hiding. You can't transform in a place where you're performing. You need solitude to strip. You need space to surrender. You need silence to hear what's next. People want the fruit of transformation without the cost of isolation. They want clarity without detachment. They want peace without distance. But listen carefully. Peace requires separation from what disturbed it. Clarity requires a break from what confused it. Alignment requires withdrawal from what distorted it. There is no becoming without leaving. You have to leave the old you behind, leave the conversations that limit you, leave the habits that distract you, leave the atmospheres that feed your dysfunction, not because you're ungrateful, but because you are unfinished. You don't become your best self in the crowd. You become your best self when you're alone with your thoughts, your fears, your questions, your convictions. That is where discipline is born. That is where intimacy with God is restored. That is where your real identity comes alive. When you are no longer trying to impress, explain, or compete. When all that's left is you, naked, raw, honest, that is where the real work begins. That is where the layers are peeled off. That is where the masks drop. That is where the lies break. That is where you finally say, I'm done performing. I want to be real. I want to be whole. I want to be aligned. Don't resist this season of separation. Don't fight the loneliness. Use it. Sit in it. Listen through it. There's something sacred in the silence. There's something powerful in the quiet. That's where the downloads come. That's where the clarity comes. That's where the vision sharpens. You are not alone. You are being reintroduced to your essence. You are not being left behind. You are being called higher. You are not losing everything. You are being invited to find the only thing that matters. Your real self, your real assignment, your real voice. If you keep trying to stay connected to everyone, you will disconnect from yourself. You must choose. You can either be widely accessible or deeply aligned, but not both. Transformation requires access control. Not everyone should be able to reach you. Not everyone deserves a front row seat to your becoming. This isn't about ego. It's about stewardship. Your energy is sacred. Your time is limited. Your calling is specific. Stop wasting intimacy on people who only know you by memory but don't recognize your becoming. This year, allow yourself to go deep, to go inward, to grow away from the noise, to grow beyond the expectations. To grow under the radar, you don't need to announce it. You don't need to explain it, just honor it. Honor the silence, honor the process. Honor the space where no one claps, but everything changes. Because when the time is right, when the work is done, when the cocoon has served its purpose, you will emerge, not as who you were, but as who you were always destined to be. There is no breakthrough without separation. There is no growth without sacrifice. And in this season, if you do not learn how to cut off distractions, you will sabotage your own destiny. The problem is not always the devil. Sometimes it's your divided focus. It's the way you keep entertaining what drains you. It's the way you keep reaching for what delays you. It's the way you've made a home for the things that interrupt your process. And as long as you keep feeding distractions, you will keep starving your purpose. You cannot conquer what you keep coddling. Every day is a war between the future you're called to and the distractions that want to keep you average. They are subtle. They do not look like danger. They look like convenience. They sound like, "I'll do it later." They feel like scrolling, clicking, binging, replying, watching, reacting. But while you are busy reacting, your future is waiting for you to act. You are either feeding what builds you or feeding what breaks you. There is no neutral ground. And if you do not make your focus non-negotiable, you will stay exactly where you are 1 year from now, regretting that you let distractions win again. You say you want transformation, but you don't want to disconnect. You say you're hungry for change, but you still have time for gossip, drama, and empty entertainment. You cannot pray for purpose while still dancing with distractions. You cannot fast forward your life and keep holding on to what's slowing you down. Distractions are not always evil. They are anything that pulls your energy away from what actually matters. They're not always loud. They're just consistent, and that consistency is what robs you of momentum. Not because you're weak, but because you're too available to things that don't deserve your attention. You keep asking for clarity, but your mind is too full. You keep asking for direction, but your time is consumed by meaningless loops. You keep asking for power, but you're draining it by overexposing yourself to noise, comparison, and content that does nothing but keep you distracted from your own lane. You cannot be powerful and distracted at the same time. One always cancels the other, and the truth is, your distractions are not just costing you time. They're costing you alignment. They are delaying answers. They are distorting your identity. They are watering down your intensity. And you wonder why you feel disconnected from your own fire. It's because you're feeding everything but your spirit. There is a price to focus. You will lose comfort. You will lose stimulation. You will lose people who are only connected to the uncommitted version of you. But the version of you that is coming cannot be built in a noisy life. You must disconnect from what distracts you so you can reconnect to what defines you. You must protect your energy like your future depends on it, because it does. If the enemy cannot destroy you, he will distract you. He will keep you busy but not productive, loud but not aligned, seen but not focused, and eventually the weight of distraction becomes the death of potential. Some of you are one decision away from becoming unrecognizable, but that decision is going to require disconnection from the habits that drain you, from the conversations that derail you, from the environments that distract you, from the content that pollutes your clarity, from the people who keep pulling you into smallness while calling it support. You don't need more motivation. You need fewer distractions. You need to turn down the volume of everything that does not carry the sound of your future. Because until you do, your purpose will always compete for your attention. And purpose should never have to beg. Focus is not a personality trait. It is a discipline. It is a lifestyle. It is the result of making your future the loudest voice in your life. It means deciding that nothing gets your time unless it aligns with where you are going. It means removing access. It means blocking what drains. It means unsubscribing from noise. It means deleting what doesn't feed you. It means saying no, not because you're rude, but because you're focused. You cannot afford to entertain what doesn't elevate. You cannot afford to keep petting the same patterns that are killing your momentum. You already know what distracts you. The question is, do you have the courage to cut it off, not just reduce it, not just manage it, cut it off? Radical growth demands radical removal. You don't need better time management. You need better access control. You don't need to wake up earlier if you're still going to scroll for hours. You don't need a new goal. You need the discipline to eliminate what's keeping you from the one you already have. Stop playing games with your calling. Stop trading your purpose for temporary pleasure. You cannot unlock your next level while babysitting your old habits. There's nothing wrong with you. You're not weak. You're just distracted, and if you can correct your focus, you can shift your life, but it starts with subtraction. Less noise, less people, less mindless consumption, less emotional clutter, less tolerance for what interrupts your spirit. More stillness, more presence, more depth, more silence, more obedience. That's where your power is. That's where your clarity is. That's where the momentum comes from. Not in doing more, but in removing what no longer serves your becoming. There comes a time in your life when you must stop mourning who you used to be and start making peace with who you are becoming. That time is now, not next month, not when it's convenient, not when they finally understand you. Not when you feel fully ready. Right now, in this moment, you must release the guilt of growth and step fully into the truth of your evolution. Because the longer you keep holding on to who you were, the longer you'll delay who you are called to be. You can't build a future while defending an old identity. You can't walk forward if your feet are still tied to yesterday. The reason some people feel lost right now is not because they are broken, but because they are in transition. And transitions feel uncomfortable. Becoming feels confusing. It's messy. It's lonely. It's full of shedding, releasing, unlearning, and letting go. It's full of quiet goodbyes and internal renovations. It's not glamorous, it's not always loud, but it is necessary. There is no version of greatness that does not come with a season of uncertainty. You don't become without disruption. You don't evolve without friction. You don't rise without losing some of the things that once felt safe. The real war is not around you. It's inside you. It's the tug-of war between the comfort of familiarity and the tension of progress. You keep hearing that inner voice calling you higher, but something in you is still tied to the version of you that's no longer fit to lead, and that's why it hurts, because part of you is dying, the pretending, the pleasing, the performing, the overthinking, the fear, the compromise. It's being pulled out by the roots, and yes, that process is painful, but don't confuse pain with punishment. This isn't destruction. It's construction. You are being built into someone unshakable, someone unrecognizable, someone unstoppable. But here's the truth. You won't step into that version of yourself until you stop grieving the one you've outgrown. You have to stop apologizing for how far you've come. You have to stop turning yourself down so you don't intimidate people who chose comfort over growth. You have to stop asking for permission to evolve. The people who can't handle your growth were never assigned to your destiny. The rooms that no longer feel right were only meant to hold the old you. Don't force what's finished to still feel familiar. Maturity means realizing that some doors are supposed to close, not because you're arrogant, but because you're aligned. There's a sacredness in honoring your own evolution, in accepting that your spirit has shifted, that your values have deepened, that your vision has sharpened. You are not here to be who you were last year. You are not here to prove yourself to the people who only understand your history, not your destiny. You are not here to explain your silence, your solitude, or your shift. You are here to answer the call of your becoming, even if it makes others uncomfortable, even if it makes you uncertain, even if it feels like you're walking alone for a while. The truth is, you are not who you used to be. You don't think the same. You don't crave the same. You don't desire the same noise, and that's okay. That's not a crisis. That's confirmation. You're growing. And growth will always require grief, but do not let grief turn into guilt. You're not betraying anyone by becoming who you're meant to be. You're not wrong for protecting your peace. You're not selfish for choosing depth over distraction. You're not cold for setting boundaries. You're becoming, and becoming requires release. You must stop resisting your rise. Stop looking back. Stop romanticizing the past. Stop fearing who you might lose if you stay true to your future. What you lose in this process cannot compare to what you're about to gain. There is clarity coming. There is power rising. There is purpose unfolding. But you have to say yes, not just with your words, but with your choices. With your silence, with your discipline, with your refusal to be who you used to be just to keep the peace. Because your peace is not in pretending. It's in alignment. There will come a day where the new version of you no longer feels foreign. Where the habits feel normal, where the boundaries feel sacred, where the calling feels natural, where the solitude feels empowering, but you don't get there by force. You get there by surrender. You don't rush the becoming. You trust it. You don't judge it. You honor it. You say yes to what you don't fully understand yet because you know deep down it's who you were always meant to be. You let go of the need to control the narrative and let purpose write the next chapter. Make peace with the quiet, with the shift, with the loss, with the stretch, with the discomfort. This isn't the end of you. It's the unveiling of you. This is where your real life begins, not the life they expected of you. Not the one you performed for, but the one that was hidden underneath the noise, the one buried under fear, the one waiting for your permission. And now that you've come this far, you can't go back. Not now. Not ever. You didn't come this far just to remember who you were. You came this far to discover who you are. So now the choice is yours. You can keep looking outward, waiting for the world to validate you, save you, notice you, fix you. Or you can make a decision that this is the year you turn inward and reclaim yourself. You can stop running, stop explaining, stop apologizing, and finally stand in the raw, unfiltered truth of who you are and who you are becoming. Everything you need is already in you, the clarity, the power, the discipline, the voice, but none of it will come alive until you silence the noise, cut off the distractions, and dare to focus only on yourself. Not in selfishness, but in sacred responsibility, because the future won't wait. The calling won't shrink, and the time won't pause. 2025 is not asking for your perfection. It is demanding your presence. It is asking you to choose you not once, but daily. And until you do, you'll keep living small in a life designed for something greater. This is your turning point. Make peace with the separation. Make peace with the silence. Make peace with the shift. Because on the other side of that decision is the version of you the world has yet to meet, but desperately needs. And it all starts now with you, only you.